Welcome to the Sci-Fi Invasion, where I, your host, tries to get through all 50 movies in this 50 movie box set from Mill Creek in 50 weeks. Today's movie is called The Alien Factor from 1978 and is the 14th film on this set. My apologies for the last episode. I know it was a bit of a different thing. This episode moving forward is going to be more standard of what we've done in the previous 12, not counting the 13th episode. Let's get into this movie. Right off the bat, I wanted to talk about the fact that I've seen this movie a long time ago from the riffing team known as Cinematic Titanic, which has, I believe, 5 of the teammates from Mystery Science Theater. It's actually interesting. I have not touched this really since I bought it, like almost 9 or 8 years ago. And when I took it out, I brought the pieces here, the box started crumbling in my hand. Like it's just completely dry rotted. Look at this. Let me see if I can show you. Isn't that weird? Isn't that crazy? So yeah, I'm gonna put it in a different case, but that's wild. I wonder if the disc is, oh my god. I tried to take the disc out and it broke the case even more. Just trying to see if there's disc rot. No disc rot. That's good. Yeah, when I was watching this, I was actually surprised with how much I remembered the plot of this movie, thanks to the Cinematic Titanic episode, because that's one of the best episodes of Cinematic Titanic. Or maybe it's not episode because it was like a live show type thing. It was one of the best shows that they've ever done. I had the awesome opportunity to see them do this stuff live. It was great. But yeah, a lot of this stuff was really fresh in my mind all these years later. So I guess this one has more of an impact on me than some of the other movies that I've seen on this box set that I'm rewatching, because there's a lot of them so far that I've been like, oh, I've seen this, but I don't really remember anything. The moment this movie starts, the opening titles are pretty impressive. At least I thought so. It looks really cool. Like if I just stumbled across this on regular television, I'd be like, oh, I think I'll check it out. I'm not saying I'd stay for the whole movie, but I would definitely check it out because the titles are kind of cool. And as I was going through it, the lines that I have not heard in over a decade from the Cinematic Titanic episode was just popping into my head. There's a scene where they're looking over a planet and he goes, that's not a planet, that's DiGiorno, because it looks like a pizza. And then there's another scene where there's like you're in monster vision and you're going through, and it's like all the grass is hitting the camera because it's monster vision. And I can't remember, I think maybe it was Trace Ball U, but he goes, how lawnmowers see our world. And I thought that was the funniest line. And as I'm watching this, these things I haven't heard in forever are just entering into my brain. And it made the whole experience a lot more fun. Much would have rather have watched that than the version I ended up watching. The movie opens up with a couple getting terrorized and killed by a monster. The monster looks like he's wrapped in duct tape. It's pretty bad. There's 3 monsters in this movie, and or is it 4? Because there's an energy one, there's a duct tape one, there's a secret one. I think there's 3. I'm not sure. After I just said I remember this one pretty well. There's a lot of monsters, and some of them look the same. The cops think it's an animal attack, which everyone thinks is everyone around the cops is kind of like, well, that's an unusual thing to say. Because it doesn't match what you think what an animal attack would be. Even in a B movie like this, it seems pretty hard to take seriously. There's a lot of really fun, weird music stings that I think make the movie unintentionally funny. The acting in this movie really takes me back to my roots, making student films and short films in high school and community college. Because the acting quality is very just the people just seem nervous. They don't know how to act. And I kind of have a soft spot for that kind of acting. I know it's probably the worst kind. It's probably better to underact than this style. But I've always really liked it. I think that's why I've always gravitated towards the Shot on Shitio movies. Like when I used to do the Joey's Movies review show. I used to exclusively go after those for a couple reasons. Not a whole lot of problems with copyright with those, But also, I just like them. I just like how rough and around the edges they are. And this definitely feels like that, although it looks better because it's shot on film instead of video. The energy creature in the movie is done with like an overlay cartoon effect, and a lot of the times it feels like it's a reference to the Forbidden Planet, and then other times it just seems like they're backed into a corner and they're like, oh, we'll just throw a monster in there we'll draw it in later. It doesn't always work. Matter of fact, I think for the most part it doesn't work. It just, I half the time I forget that monster's even in the movie. There's too much stuff going on in it, so I kind of lose track of like where everyone is. At one point, a biker kills a girl, and a monster brings her back to life, and it feels so disjointed from the rest of the movie. It's very odd. There's also, like, probably one of the weirdest scenes in the movie. There's a scene where all these kids are like dancing and playing in slow motion, while at the same time this other character is dying from like bad overlay effects. And it's probably the weirdest scene in the movie because it goes on forever. And it's just the slow motion kids. I think in like a better movie, this scene would have probably played out a lot better with like music specifically cut for the scene. But in the movie, it's just odd. It's just like, all right, is this gonna keep on going? It was one of the moments in the movie where I was like, man, I wish I was watching this with like riffing commentary. There's a good looking spaceship in this movie, although it blows up off camera, which is a little disappointing. I think one of the worst things about this movie is it starts off pretty strong, but as it goes on, it gets slower and slower and slower. By the end of the movie, I don't really care about a lot of what happened in it at that point, because I was just like, all right, I'm just ready to watch the next movie at this point. But there is some interesting stuff that happens. There's a character, I'm not going to reveal which one, just in case you want to watch this one for yourself. Definitely watch it with Cinematic Titanic. I definitely recommend that. But yeah, there's a character in it that's later revealed to be an alien himself, and it's super freaking goofy. This movie feels like an anomaly, but it's fun. And I would say, as better as it is with riffing commentary, this is a perfect movie for like a bad movie night with friends, or even by yourself. It's not so bad that it's irritating. The problems with it, because it does get a little slower as it goes on, but it's not horrendous. It's not unwatchable. In fact, if there was an HD version of this movie available, I would probably seek it out, because I don't think it's that bad. What else is there? Oh yeah, at the end of the movie, one of the things that's like, it's unintentionally funny. There is a huge expedition dump at the very end of the movie, like right before the credits, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of information you're throwing at me. But you know, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Remember, please be kind and rewind.